the most common mistake the kind-hearted woman makes is believing that her infinite accessibility is her greatest asset in a relationship. You have been taught that being soft, always available, and incredibly understanding would make a man value you more, but the reality is often the exact opposite of what you expected. When you become a predictable source of comfort who never demands respect, you stop being a woman he desires and start being a convenience he takes for granted. He does not fall in love with your sacrifices. He falls in love with the challenge of a woman who knows her worth is not up for negotiation. By giving everything away for free, you have effectively lowered the cost of losing you to zero, and men do not obsess over what is easily replaced or maintained. You likely find yourself checking your phone constantly, wondering why the man who was once so attentive has now become distant and cold. This happens because you have centered your entire emotional world around his validation, turning yourself into a golden retriever who begs for scraps of attention. A man can sense when your happiness depends entirely on his next text message, and that level of desperation is the ultimate repellent for high-value attraction. Instead of being a mystery to be solved, you have become a chore to be managed, providing him with a safety net that requires no effort on his part. He knows you will be there regardless of how he treats you, so he loses the natural biological drive to pursue and secure your affection. Obsession is not born from comfort or the sweetness of a girl who says yes to every mediocre request or last-minute date invitation. Obsession is born from the fear of loss and the realization that your presence is a privilege that can be revoked at any moment without a second thought. When a man realizes that you are not chasing him and that your life is vibrant and full without him, his psychological wiring triggers a deep need to reclaim your focus. The woman who stays up late waiting for a call that never comes is training him to believe that her time has no value. You must understand that a man's obsession is directly linked to the amount of respect he has for your boundaries and the independence of your spirit. Many women fall into the trap of being a placeholder, providing the emotional labor and support that builds a man up until he feels strong enough to leave. You act as his therapist, his cheerleader, and his assistant, hoping that your utility will eventually earn you the title of the one he truly loves. However, utility is not the same as desire, and a man will often walk away from the woman who did everything for him to pursue the woman who does nothing but value herself. If you are constantly doing the most to prove you are worthy of a commitment, you are inadvertently sending the message that you do not believe you are enough. The black cat never tries to prove her worth because she knows her value is an inherent fact of her existence. The girl who is too nice often ignores the red flags of disrespect because she is afraid that speaking up will cause the man to leave her. You swallow your pride and accept late replies or canceled plans, convincing yourself that being flexible is a sign of a healthy and mature relationship. In reality, you are teaching him exactly how much disrespect you are willing to tolerate before you finally break, and he will continue to push those limits. A man will never be obsessed with a woman he can manipulate or control, as there is no glory in conquering someone who has already surrendered. True obsession requires a level of uncertainty that keeps him on his toes and forces him to constantly evaluate his standing in your life. A brief, hushed, and nearly transparent flash occurs when a woman pulls her energy back from a man, and the power dynamic shifts. Most women underestimate the sheer impact of this internal retreat. While they perceive it as merely opting for protecting their mental clarity, they have, in reality, triggered a strategic demolition. You are deactivating the sentimental circuit that has long served as the foundation for his self-esteem. The masculine ego often operates on a remarkably fragile source of power, the unwavering focus you provide. By cutting off that stream, you lay bare the architecture of his psyche, forcing a revelation of whether he possesses true inner strength or is simply a hollow facade. Think about the last time you felt like an afterthought in his busy schedule, and compare that to the moment you decided to stop caring. The shift begins the moment you cease acting as the unacknowledged anchor in his life, forcing him to stumble through his own internal world like someone suddenly deprived of their equilibrium. Your absence always arrives before his self-awareness, and that is exactly why the obsession begins to take root in his mind. A fundamental realization strikes him only after the supply line is severed. He was unknowingly subsidizing his existence with your psychological labor. There is a certain irony in observing an individual who previously regarded you as mere static, suddenly gasping for your presence as if you were his primary source of oxygen. Men do not become obsessed because of the sudden appreciation of your value. Instead, it stems from a shattered internal stability. They are clawing to restore the mastery they once exercised over your spirit. While a centered, evolved individual will pivot and introspect, the typical man lacks the psychological tools to navigate the stillness of a woman's departure. He has outsourced his confidence to your gaze. And without that mirror, his sense of belonging vanishes. This spiral into fixation is merely a byproduct of his own fragile temperament, sparked by the calculated and quiet detachment of the black cat. The path to power of the black cat starts with the cold realization that your current methods of overgiving are failing because they ignore human nature. You cannot beg for obsession, and you certainly cannot negotiate it through acts of service or endless patience with a man who does not prioritize you. You must be willing to let the relationship collapse if it is built on the cheap architecture of his ego and your constant labor. True magnetic power comes from being unbothered by the outcome, knowing that your life is a masterpiece with or without his presence. Once you master the art of energy withdrawal, you stop being the one who is ignored and start being the one who is perpetually chased. If you are finding this perspective shift interesting and are ready to stop being a placeholder in your own life, subscribe now. Make sure you do not miss the strategic breakdown we are building here to help you reclaim your sovereign energy and your peace. We are about to dive into the narrative of a woman who learned to flip the script and watch the world reorganize itself around her worth. The journey from being a girl who is too nice to a woman who is obsessed over requires a total transformation of your internal boundaries. Stay tuned as we reveal the exact movements of the black cat and how she navigates the world with a serenity that drives men to the edge of obsession.
When Mia chose to walk away.
Mia leaned back into the velvet cushioning of her home office chair, the soft glow of her monitors illuminating the sharp lines of her face. At 30 years old, she had meticulously architected a life that felt like an unbreakable sanctuary, defined by a successful career that demanded her absolute focus and strategic brilliance. Mia was a woman who understood that her energy was her most sacred currency, and she had spent years ensuring that her peace was not a gift granted by a man, but a fortress she built through her own choices. For the past year, Mia had been invested in a committed relationship, acting as the primary emotional facilitator for a man she initially believed was her partner in every sense. She had provided the warmth and the consistent support that allowed the dynamic to flourish, often smoothing over the rough edges of his days with the soft patience of a woman who values authentic loyalty. However, as the months turned into a year, his investment began to flicker and fade into a pattern of dismissive behavior and forgotten promises that left her feeling like an afterthought. He had slowly transitioned into a drainer, treating her presence as a guaranteed utility, while offering only the bare minimum of effort in return for her devotion. Mia felt the old persistent urge to initiate a long, explanatory conversation to fix the vibe, but she stopped herself. The definitive moment of clarity arrived on a random Tuesday evening when he dismissed a significant personal achievement of hers with a half-hearted shrug and a vague comment about his own fatigue. It was a dense, quiet moment of disrespect that signaled the final collapse of the reciprocity she had worked so hard to sustain throughout their 12 months together. A woman operating from a place of chronic scarcity would have spent the night in a state of quiet desperation, trying harder to be interesting or eventually breaking down into a loud emotional display. Mia, however, simply felt an internal click of finality as she realized she was currently allowing herself to be a placeholder in a life where she should have been the priority. She felt the sting of the dismissal, but she refused to let the pain dictate her response or diminish her power. Instead of making a scene or demanding an apology that would only serve to satisfy his ego, Mia quietly gathered her things and walked out of the room with a serene finality. She did not offer a long-winded explanation of why his behavior was unacceptable to her. She simply stated that she was heading out to clear her head and focus on her own requirements. She stepped into the cool night air, leaving the heavy, stagnant energy of his indifference behind her as she felt the weight of the relationship lift from her shoulders. By choosing her own peace over a futile and exhausting argument, She signaled that her energy was no longer available to fuel a dynamic that failed to facilitate her joy. She leashed up Lucky, her caramel-colored rescue dog, and headed for a long run, feeling her strength return with every stride. Later that evening, Mia found herself in her kitchen, the rich aroma of a slow-cooked meal filling the house as she prepared a traditional dinner for her mother and sisters. She laughed over glasses of wine, discussing upcoming travel plans and professional milestones, completely immersed in the warmth of real connection and authentic respect from those who truly saw her. There was no drama, no checking the lock screen for a sign of his repentance, and certainly no desire to explain herself to a man who had already shown his true character. She was the architect of her own joy, and the life she had built was solid, elegant, and entirely her own, a fortress where only excellence was allowed to reside. Her happiness was rooted in her thriving career, her bond with her family, and the serenity she felt when she was finally free. The next day, as Mia was deeply focused on a project at work, the man began to call, likely sensing that the emotional current he had been feeding on for a year had been abruptly severed. A few months ago, she might have dropped everything to answer and smooth over the tension, but now she let the call go to voicemail without a single flicker of guilt or hesitation. She understood that his sudden intensity was not born from a place of deep love, but from a desperate reaction to the vacuum she had created by reclaiming her spirit. She felt a surge of genuine power as she redirected her focus back to her own objectives, knowing that her sovereignty was the only currency that truly mattered. Her absence was not a game, but a final standard of respect that he had failed to uphold. When they finally spoke briefly to handle the practicalities of the breakup, Mia utilized assertive communication with a precision that left no room for his excuses or deflections. She did not offer a second chance or a compromise that would require her to shrink her soul, stating clearly that she only participates in dynamics that are consistently reciprocal. She made it known that her energy is a finite resource, reserved only for those who bring excellence to her table and respect the sanctuary of her internal peace. Mia did not view the end of the relationship as a failure, but as a successful filtration of her environment that left more room for her own expansion. She walked forward into her future, knowing that the door she opened for him to leave was the same door that led to her ultimate freedom.
The magnetism of your absence.
The presence of a man in your life must always be viewed as a luxury that he earns through consistent respect, rather than a charity granted by your fear of being alone. When you allow a partner to remain in your orbit after he has repeatedly dismissed your needs or ignored your boundaries, you are effectively telling him that your self-worth has a clearance price. A black cat understands that her territory is sacred and that anyone who dares to bring chaotic or draining energy into her space will find the door open for them to leave. You do not need to be loud or make a scene to prove your point, because your silence and your immediate withdrawal are the most potent tools in your strategic arsenal. Obsession is not born from comfort, but from the sudden realization that your presence is a high-tier privilege that can be revoked at any moment. Like a high-end feline moving with effortless grace, you must possess the ability to walk away from any situation that no longer makes your life easier or supports your growth. A cat does not negotiate with a room that has grown cold. It simply stands up and finds a patch of sunlight where its presence is properly honored, and its warmth is truly appreciated. You are not being cold or calculated when you choose to prioritize your own soul over the emotional needs of a man who has proven himself to be a drainer. You are simply acting as the primary protector of your own vitality, ensuring that your energy is never wasted on those who treat your profound loyalty as a common commodity. Men become obsessed with the black cat because she represents a world that they cannot manipulate or control. True magnetic power is not found in how much you can give to a relationship, but in how much you are willing to walk away from when the reciprocity is no longer balanced. You must cultivate a life that is so fulfilling and complete on its own that the departure of any individual feels like a minor shift in the wind rather than a total collapse. Your career, your fitness, and your deep connections with your family form the solid foundation of a life that does not require external validation to remain standing. When you are truly unbothered by the outcome of a connection, You become the most powerful force in the room, because a woman who cannot be manipulated by fear is a woman who can never be conquered. He will chase the energy that refuses to be tamed by his inconsistency. You must stop interpreting his dismissive behavior as a personal failure or a reflection of your own value, and start seeing it as a clear signal of his own internal weakness. A man who cannot meet your standards is simply revealing his own lack of emotional architecture, and it is not your responsibility to stay and act as the heavy lifting that keeps him upright. The black cat knows that she is a prize not because of what she can do for a man, but because of the inherent excellence she brings to every space she chooses to occupy. If he cannot see that excellence, it is not your job to provide him with a map. It is your job to remove your light and let him navigate the darkness of your absence alone. This sudden vacuum of energy is what triggers his psychological fixation. Communication should always be assertive and precise, stating your requirements once, and then observing the actions that follow with a detached mindset that avoids emotional entanglement. You never owe a man an endless series of explanations for why you deserve basic respect, or why your time is valuable, as these are truths that should be understood immediately. If you have spoken your standards clearly, and he chooses to repeat the same disrespectful patterns, your only move is to execute a silent and total withdrawal of your energy. There is a profound dignity in the woman who knows when she has said enough, and has the courage to let the silence do the work of reflecting his own failures back to him. Obsession thrives in the space where he can no longer hear your voice. Being a black cat means that you are warm and amorous with those who have earned your trust, but you possess a sharp and immediate edge for anyone who attempts to treat you as an option. You are not a placeholder to be used for emotional labor while he waits for something else, and you are certainly not a pick-me woman who competes for the attention of the mediocre. Your life is an exclusive event with a very strict guest list, and anyone who acts in a way that is dismissive or inconsistent should find themselves permanently removed from the invitation list. You do not hate men. You simply love yourself enough to refuse a seat at any table where the main course is disrespect and the side dish is neglect. The pain of a breakup or the sting of a dismissive comment may be felt deeply, but as a sovereign woman, you never allow that pain to dictate the trajectory of your next strategic move. You can feel the hurt and still choose to walk away in silence, knowing that your long-term peace is far more important than the temporary comfort of a man who does not facilitate your joy. A black cat is not a statue. She is a living, breathing being who feels everything, but she has the iron discipline to put her standards above her fleeting emotions every single time. This is how you build a life that is respected by others, by proving through your actions that you are the first person to respect yourself, regardless of the cost. Your physical vitality and your mental health are the pillars that support your independence, and they must be protected with the same ferocity that a predator uses to guard its most valuable territory. Whether you are focusing on your career or pushing through a session of fitness, you are investing in the only person who will truly be there for you for the rest of your life. When you center yourself and all the other aspects of your life, you naturally become more magnetic because you are no longer projecting the needy energy of someone searching for a missing piece. You are already whole, and your happiness is a self-sustaining ecosystem that thrives on your own terms, completely independent of any man. The movements of a black cat are always precise, elegant, and filled with a confidence that does not need to be aggressive to be felt by everyone in the immediate vicinity. You do not make excuses for your standards, and you do not apologize for the boundaries that ensure you are treated with the excellence you deserve in every interaction. If he is a facilitator, he will rise to meet your energy with his own investment. If he is a drainer, he will eventually reveal himself through his own inability to maintain the pace. Either way, you remain the winner because your happiness is not tied to his performance, but to your own ability to remain unbothered and sovereign in your own radiant world. Never settle for a dynamic that requires you to shrink your soul or hide your light just to make a man feel more comfortable in his own lack of effort. You are a sovereign being, a woman with the power of the black cat, and your life is meant to be lived with intensity, joy, and a total refusal to accept mediocrity. As you move forward from today, remember that the most attractive thing you can ever wear is the silent and unshakable knowledge of your own value. Power is reclaimed in the silence. You are the architect, the strategist, and the final authority in your life. And you have the power of letting go anyone who does not belong in the sanctuary you have worked so hard to build. To truly master these strategies and transform your reality, you need a comprehensive guide that goes beyond these videos, and that is why I created the Black Cat Playbook, a strategic manual for emotional independence and high-standard relationships. This manual moves beyond abstract concepts to provide you with specific, high-stakes responses and precise actions for the most challenging dynamics in modern dating. From managing initial disrespect to maintaining your unbothered posture during his attempts at manipulation, you will learn how to identify a drainer's red flags before they can deplete your peace. It is time to stop guessing and start leading your life with the precision of a strategist who knows exactly how to protect her peace and her power. The link for the Black Cat Playbook is in the description down below.
Triggering his deepest obsession.
The obsession of a man is rarely a reflection of his sudden appreciation for your soul, and is almost always a frantic reaction to the disruption of his internal equilibrium. By choosing to retract your essence, you aren't simply retreating in search of serenity. You are executing a strategic demolition of the brittle infrastructure supporting his ego. Most men are not powered by authentic intimacy or deep affection, but rather by the relentless psychological stream provided by your focus on him. They are blissfully unaware of how dependent they are on your validation until you completely stop giving it to him without warning. This energy withdrawal causes an immediate power shift that exposes the weakness of his ego, leaving him to navigate the void you left behind. A man may have delusions of invincibility and dominance while casually dismissing your kindness. Yet as the quietude lingers, he starts to detect the subtle scent of psychological rot. Your departure takes root well before his own realization can catch up, sparking a raw, instinctual terror that presents itself as an urgent, frantic need to recapture your focus. He mirrors a dependent deprived of their substance, wandering his mental corridors in search of the grounding force he neglected to appreciate during its availability. This spiraling obsession is the outward proof of a crumbling mindset that is incapable of operating without the externalized approval you used to provide. You must understand that this reaction does not come from a place of emotional depth or a late-blooming maturity, but from a profound and often hidden psychological weakness. A truly stable and self-possessed man doesn't succumb to chaos or performative displays when a woman chooses to withdraw her energy. Instead, he engages in introspection, adapts, and manages his conduct with maturity. Conversely, the average man panics, depending completely on a female presence to balance his ego and define his status in the social hierarchy. Once you disengage, his abrupt intellectual epiphanies are nothing more than tactical instruments designed to get your validation back. Men abruptly become so creative, romantic, and devoted the moment they sense the permanent departure of a woman they previously took for granted. You'll witness sudden storms of supposed enlightenment, all calculated to get you back into your role as his psychological safeguard. This isn't love. It's the dependency that he has on your validation and empathy. The Black Cat observes this theater with clinical indifference, knowing that if this epiphany required her absence to manifest, it isn't true dedication. She recognizes that genuine integrity is nearly always absent from these award-worthy exhibitions of devotion. The power of the Black Cat lies in her ability to remain unbothered by the theatrical panic of a man who is only now realizing what he has effectively thrown away. Like a feline that remains perfectly still and poised while the world around it descends into chaos, you must maintain your distance and your silence. There is something quite comical about a man who once behaved like he was God's gift to women suddenly panicking at the thought of losing access to you. You are not his therapist or his mother, and it is not your responsibility to rebuild the ego that collapsed the second you stopped supporting it. Your energy belongs to you, and its withdrawal is the only mirror sharp enough to show him exactly who he is without you. A man's projected confidence is frequently a mask for a psychological framework that fails to endure the slightest pressure once he no longer has your validation. You will witness whether he truly has a backbone, or if his confidence disintegrates like a house of cards in a gale the second you stop feeding his ego. Then, his obsession takes hold because he lacks the autonomy to exist without the undivided attention you once granted so generously as a golden retriever. He calls it love, devotion, intensity, but you recognize it for what it is: a scared little boy screaming for his mother. When you transition into a black cat, you stop being a predictable source of light and become a mystery that he can no longer manipulate or control through his inconsistency. His fixation is an attempt to regain the equilibrium you disrupted, a frantic effort to return to a status quo where he benefited from your presence without paying the price of respect. You must resist the urge to believe that this sudden obsession means he has finally seen your value or that the relationship has been saved by his new intensity. In reality, you have simply exposed the fragile nature of his self-esteem and the fact that he was never equipped to handle a woman of high standards. The obsession is his struggle to breathe in a room where you are no longer the air. The movements of the black cat are precise and firm, as she understands that any return to her previous warmth would only validate his initial disrespect and prove her standards are negotiable. Much like a panther that disappears into the darkness without leaving a trace, your silent withdrawal leaves a haunting imprint on his mind that he cannot erase with shallow apologies. He will become theatrical and sentimental in ways that feel profound, but you must remember that these are the symptoms of his own instability rather than a testament to your connection. True power is found in the woman who can watch a man spiral and remain entirely centered in her own joy and professional goals. You are not responsible for regulating a grown man's psyche. The plunge into obsession is the typical male response to the loss of a grounding force that he was far too conceited to value during the period he was granted entry into your inner sanctum. He is now forced to face his own internal void, a task he has spent his entire life avoiding by consuming the energy of the women he encountered. By reclaiming your power of the black cat, you are forcing him to navigate his own psyche alone, which is the most terrifying journey a weak man can ever undertake. His obsession is his way of begging you to come back and turn the lights on, so he doesn't have to deal with the darkness of his own lack of character. You must stay focused on your fitness and your career, letting the silence tell him everything he needs to know. Ultimately, his obsession is the proof that you were the architect of the dynamic, and that he was merely a guest who overstayed his welcome and failed to follow the house rules. You have proven that you are the final authority in your life, and that his presence is a luxury you can revoke at a moment's notice when it no longer facilitates your peace. The black cat is happy and successful, regardless of his theatrical attempts to win her back, because her internal structure is solid and self-sustaining. You move forward with the confident posture of a sovereign being, knowing that the only way to keep a man's respect is to show him you are entirely willing to live without him. Obsession is the tribute a weak ego pays to a powerful soul.
Filtering the facilitator's mind.
The distinction between a facilitator and a drainer within the context of obsession lies in the source of their focus and the outcome of their presence in your life. A facilitator is a man who recognizes your sovereignty and seeks to make your life easier by adding value, consistency, and respect to your daily environment. He is inspired by your autonomy and chooses to invest his energy in a way that nourishes your peace and supports your professional and personal growth without demanding that you shrink. Conversely, a drainer is an individual who views your energy as a commodity to be consumed, offering only inconsistency and emotional debt in exchange for your warmth. He does not seek to build a sanctuary with you. He seeks to use your focused attention to stabilize his own fragile ego while providing the bare minimum in return. When you embody the persona of the black cat, you force a man to reveal his true emotional architecture through the way he responds to your independence and standards. A facilitator will feel a sense of deep respect and healthy attraction when he sees you prioritizing your career projects, your family dinners, and your fitness rituals. He is not threatened by the fact that you do not need him to be happy, but rather he is motivated to become a reliable pillar in the vibrant world you have already built. You will notice that his actions remain steady, and his communication is clear, as he understands that access to your inner circle is a privilege. The result of engaging with a facilitator is a dynamic of mutual expansion, where your serenity is protected and your power of the black cat is actually celebrated. A drainer will react to your boundaries and your refusal to be a placeholder with a frantic and often theatrical obsession that stems from his own internal instability. Because he survives on emotional outsourcing, your decision to pull your energy back feels like a threat to his very survival, triggering a panic that he mislabels as passion. His obsession doesn't bloom from a newfound, deep-seated adoration. Rather, it's the void left by your absence that has sent him spiraling through his own mental landscape. You'll witness a sudden surge of artistic emotion and frantic attempts at contact, all serving as empty gestures to re-establish mastery over the anchor he previously ignored. Similar to a man gasping for air, his obsessive behavior is nothing more than a manifestation of his reliance, disguised as passionate devotion. If you choose to entertain a drainer, the consequence is the inevitable erosion of your standards and the depletion of the energy you need for all the other aspects of your life. He will treat your self-respect as a personal insult, labeling your calm withdrawal as coldness in an attempt to manipulate you back into a position of submission. The obsession he displays is a volatile and draining force that will distract you from your career goals and your physical vitality, leaving you exhausted by his cycle of neglect and sudden pursuit. A man who only values your presence when he is forced to face the darkness of your absence is a man who will surely take you for granted the moment you return. The result is a stagnant and chaotic dynamic that serves only to diminish your radiance and your peace. Dealing with a facilitator, however, brings a sense of profound security and clarity that allows you to remain amorous and warm without the fear of being exploited. His presence in your life acts as a multiplier of your existing happiness, ensuring that your time in your home office or out for a run is never interrupted by unnecessary drama. You will find that you do not need to use your energy to fix the vibe or explain your requirements, because he is already observant and committed to maintaining the connection. The outcome of this alignment is a high-standard relationship where your sovereignty is respected and your growth is prioritized by a partner who truly facilitates your life. This is the only type of connection that is worthy of the high-tier woman you have become. You can evaluate the man in your orbit by observing his posture when you assertively communicate your requirements and then return to your own center of gravity. A facilitator will listen with the intent to adjust and will demonstrate his understanding through tangible, long-term changes in his behavior and his investment level. He recognizes that your silence is a standard of respect, and he rises to meet it because he values the piece of the territory you share together. He does not require a detonation at the foundation of his ego to realize that you are a prize. He sees it in the way you lead your life. The result of his presence is a stable, elegant, and reciprocal partnership that honors the sanctuary you have worked so hard to construct. The drainer will eventually expose the truth of his character through the faint smell of decay that surrounds his ego when your attention grid is shut off. He will pace the emotional floor and make grand sentimental gestures that would win awards if they weren't so transparently designed to reclaim a lost resource. His obsession is the sound of a man realizing that he can no longer survive on the cheap labor of your understanding and your constant, unappreciated emotional presence. If you do not open the door for his final exit, you risk becoming trapped in a loop of his theatrical repentances, followed by a swift return to his dismissive patterns. The consequence of his obsession is a toxic fixation that offers no real depth and only seeks to consume your time. A black cat moves with the precision of a predator, identifying these traits early so she can liquidate the liabilities in her life before they cause structural damage. You must remain detached and analytical as you watch him react to the vacuum created by your withdrawal, refusing to be swayed by his sudden emerge of poetry and sententious promises. If his enlightenment only arrives when your energy is gone, it is not a sign of love, but a sign that he was never equipped to handle a woman of your caliber. The result of this realization is your freedom to focus on your family, your friends, and the professional achievements that actually sustain your joy. You are the architect of your own ecosystem, and only those who facilitate its balance are allowed to stay. When a man truly facilitates your life, your fitness rituals and your series of favorite shows remain a source of joy because he respects the time you spend on yourself. He does not see your independence as a challenge to be conquered, but as a trait that makes you the most sought-after and magnetic woman in his world. The consequence of this mutual respect is a life lived with intensity and authentic connection, where your vulnerability is a gift reserved for a man who has proven he is a safe harbor. By maintaining your standards, you effectively filter out the men who can only offer dependency, ensuring that your energy is always invested in a way that brings a high-tier return of peace and excellence. The final insight is that a man's obsession is the tribute a weak ego pays to a powerful and sovereign soul that he can no longer control or manipulate. Whether you are dealing with a facilitator who rose to the occasion or a drainer who collapsed in your absence, you remain the final authority in your life. Your happiness is a self-sustaining structure that thrives on your own terms, completely independent of the presence or obsession of any individual man who crosses your path. By choosing to be a black cat, you ensure that your energy is always protected and that your life remains a masterpiece of career success and personal vitality. Reclaiming your power means knowing that you are the one who decides who stays and who must finally leave.
The playbook to keep your peace.
The first step in your strategic evolution is to conduct a cold and detached audit of your current dynamic to identify where your energy is being drained without absolute reciprocity. You must stop making excuses for his dismissive behavior and start documenting the objective facts of his inconsistency, treating your relationship with the same analytical precision a panther uses before a decisive strike. This phase is not about emotional outbursts or seeking pity. It is about gathering the intelligence needed to decide if he is a facilitator of your joy or a liability to your peace. If you find that you have been doing the heavy lifting to maintain the connection, your immediate priority must be to halt all emotional labor and observe his reaction from a position of profound silence. The second step is to execute a total withdrawal of your focus and redirect that energy back into the pillars of your own sovereign life and your professional goals. Start prioritizing your career projects, your fitness, and your time with loved ones with a ferocity that signals your world does not stop spinning just because he is choosing to be inconsistent. This is the art of energy withdrawal, where you effectively shut off the power grid he has been using to regulate his own ego at the expense of your internal stability. Much like a cat that retreats to a high, unreachable ledge when a room becomes cold, you must become emotionally inaccessible while remaining physically present and entirely unbothered by the outcome of his eventual panic. The third step is to engage in assertive communication only when it is absolutely necessary to state your requirements, avoiding the trap of long-winded explanations or defensive pleas for attention. You speak your requirements with surgical precision, making it clear that your time and your energy are high-tier resources that are only available to those who provide consistent facilitation and respect. Do not beg for change or negotiate for the basic decency that should be a prerequisite for your presence. Simply state the boundary, and then immediately return to your own center of gravity. A black cat never repeats herself because she knows that a man who requires a map to find the concept of respect is not a man she intends to keep in her territory. The fourth step is to enter a phase of absolute observation, where you judge him solely by his subsequent actions, rather than his hollow promises or sudden theatrical displays. If he attempts to lure you back into the cycle of neglect with breadcrumbs of attention or vague gestures of obsession, you must remain detached and keep your standards in place. Do not reward a return to mediocrity with a sudden surge of warmth. Instead, maintain your feline poise and wait for evidence of a permanent shift in how he values your light. You are the architect of your own happiness, and you must refuse to lower the cost of admission to your inner circle just because he is finally feeling the chill of your silence. The fifth step is to be prepared to open the door for his final exit the very moment he proves that he is incapable of rising to meet the standards you have set for your life. If the dismissive patterns repeat after your clear communication, you do not offer a second chance or a compromise that would require you to shrink your soul to accommodate his weakness. You must have the courage to be happy alone, knowing that your life is already a masterpiece of career success and personal vitality that does not need a drainer to be complete. Opening the door for a man to leave is not an act of failure, but a strategic filtration of your environment that ensures only excellence and genuine facilitators are allowed to remain in your orbit. The sixth step is to fully embody the power of the black cat by reaching a state of being truly unbothered by the presence or absence of any man who fails to respect your time. Your serenity must be a fortress that is protected by your dedication to your goals, your health, and the deep bonds you share with your family and your friends. When you no longer depend on external validation to feel complete, you become a magnetic force that commands a level of obsession that no placeholder could ever hope to inspire. You move through the world with the elegant and confident posture of a feline who knows her value is non-negotiable and that her happiness is a self-sustaining ecosystem built on her own terms. As you walk this path of emotional independence, always remember that your greatest weapon is your willingness to walk away from any situation that drains your light or mocks your worth. Every session of fitness, every project you finish at work, and every dinner you share with your family is an investment in the only person who will truly be there for you forever. By following this playbook, you are not just changing your relationship status, you are commanding a total paradigm shift in how men perceive your sovereign worth and your boundaries. Stay focused on your own requirements and never apologize for the standards that protect your internal peace, for you are the final authority in your life, and your energy is a gift.
The sovereignty of self.
The most profound realization you will ever reach is that your presence is a high-tier gift that only a select few are qualified to receive through consistent action and unwavering respect. You are the sole architect of your own joy, and your internal peace is a fortress that does not require the hollow obsession of a man to remain standing or feel validated. When you stop negotiating for basic respect and start commanding it through your strategic silence, you finally reclaim the power of the black cat that was always resting within you. You are not a placeholder for a man's indecision, or a temporary fix for his fragile ego. You are a sovereign entity who knows that being alone and fulfilled is infinitely better than being partnered and drained. The world responds to the energy you radiate, so choose to radiate the unshakable certainty of a woman who finally knows her own value. Your journey toward emotional independence is not a frantic race to find a partner, but a consistent practice of choosing yourself over the mediocrity of those who take your warmth for granted. Every time you focus on your career goals or your fitness instead of a dismissive text, you are strengthening the pillars of a life that is entirely and beautifully your own. You have the strategic brilliance to identify the drainers and the courage to open the door for their exit without a single word of explanation or unnecessary drama. Remember that your light is far too bright to be dimmed by a man who is terrified of the depth and the high standards of a truly sovereign woman. You move forward with serenity and peace, knowing that the only opinion that truly dictates your reality is the one you hold of yourself. True magnetism is found in the moments when you are completely unbothered by the outcome of any dynamic, because you are anchored in your own self-respect and psychological sanity. You do not need to perform or become theatrical to keep a man's attention. You simply need to remain centered in the excellence of your own daily existence and personal growth. The men who are worthy of you will rise to make your life easier, and the ones who are not will simply fade into the darkness of your absence. This is the natural order of things for a woman who has mastered the art of detachment and the precision of her own boundaries. A black cat is obsessed with her own progress, her own projects, and her own peace, making her presence a sanctuary that only the deserving may enter. If you are ready to stop being a placeholder and start living as the sovereign authority of your own world, make sure you have subscribed to this channel for more strategies. We are building a community of women who refuse to accept less than excellence. And your presence here is a valuable part of this collective shift toward reclaimed power. Take a moment to reflect on the standards you have set for yourself today and how you will protect them with the feline grace and firm posture we discussed. Your path to freedom is paved with the decisions you make when no one is watching, and your success is the only response you ever need to provide. You are the strategist of your own future, and the power of the black cat is your birthright. I want to hear from the sovereign women in this community who have already begun to apply these principles in their own lives. Have you ever experienced a moment where your sudden silence or the withdrawal of your energy triggered a profound obsession in a man who previously took you for granted? Share your story in the comments below about a time a man became fixated on you after you chose your own peace over his inconsistency. Your experiences serve as a testament to the fact that when you prioritize your own value, the world around you is forced to realign. As you close this video, carry the serenity of a woman who knows she is complete, and the confidence of a feline who knows her worth is non-negotiable.
Thank you so much for being a part of the community. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any other content, and I'll see you in the next video.